Democracy is a system that reflects the majority of public opinion. It is a system that guarantees governance by the views of the majority, and the majority is not willing to shed blood in defense of freedom. So, democracies, in many cases, do not guarantee freedom. Late on the night of December 3, 2024, South Korean President Yoon Seok-yeol issued an emergency televised address declaring a state of martial law throughout the country. Explaining the motivation for martial law, he claimed that it was to protect a free Korea against the threat of the communist forces of North Korea and to remove the pro-North Korean anti-national forces. Yoon Suk-yeol's party is in the minority in the National Assembly, and many of his policies have been vetoed by the opposition. On the political spectrum, Yoon Suk-yeol closely follows the United States. In particular, he recently stated that he would support Ukraine's military equipment in the Russia-Ukraine war. In the recent tense atmosphere on the Korean peninsula, Yoon Suk-yeol has also not hesitated to claim to use force against North Korea. On the other hand, Jae-myung, the leader of the opposition Democratic Party, is pro-US, but wants to maintain South Korea's political independence. There is nothing pro- or anti-American about South Korea's major political parties. All of them are pro-American, but there is only a difference between obeying the United States, closely following it, and equidistant diplomacy to maintain independence. More importantly, in the defense of South Korea, all parties have taken the position of working closely with the United States and Japan. However, in East Asia and even in world affairs, the difference in policy is whether to follow the US closely and intervene in global conflicts or to maintain Korea's independence. Especially in a possible future battle in the Taiwan Strait, if the US enters the war, Jae-myung opposes sacrificing Korean lives to follow the US into the war. That's the biggest public opinion in Korea right now. It is the same in Japan. Most people support Taiwan with little more than verbal moral support, and if bloodshed is required, many stop there. The public opinion in the United States also remains the same. After the Russo-Ukrainian War began, U.S. President Joe Biden repeatedly emphasized that the U.S. would not send in troops, but would only assist in the form of weapons and money. It was the fear that Americans suspected him of eventually taking the U.S. into the war in Europe. A poll by the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, an independent U.S. think tank, on October 9, 2024, reflected that 58% of Americans were against sending troops to Taiwan. 42% of the respondents supported a commitment to defend Taiwan. Please pay special attention to the fact that a commitment to defend Taiwan is not the same as support for sending troops. In the event of a war in the Taiwan Strait, there will be little public opinion willing to send an army to defend Taiwan. Not only are Americans unwilling to shed blood in defense of the freedom of people in other countries, but they are not even willing to lose money. 2024 in October, the latest polls published by CBS/YouGov show that more than half of Americans are unwilling to continue to support Ukraine. This correlates with Trump's winning approval ratings. Actually, the primary cause of inflation in the U.S. is decoupling from China, and the secondary cause is the Russia-Ukraine war. South Koreans are fighting to safeguard their democracy. South Korea's Speaker of the House, Woo Won-shik, along with a total of 190 lawmakers from both the ruling and opposition parties, forced their way into the National Assembly and unanimously passed a resolution in the early morning hours of the 4th, calling on the president to lift martial law. The military later said it would continue to enforce martial law until Yoon Suk-yeol lifted the order. Trump also indicated on November 18, 2024, that he might declare a state of emergency and mobilize the military to deport immigrants after he takes office. It is as if Yoon Suk-yeol has conducted a preview, especially for this purpose. Let's see this year how determined Koreans are to defend their democracy. Next year, we can compare it to see the determination of Americans to defend their own democracy. Democracy does not necessarily defend freedom, but it can vocalize public opinion. Public views are as ever-flowing as running water. It may choose to fail, but it never takes responsibility for failed choices. From Korea to the United States, let's observe this harsh reality. Please follow me and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to joining you as I begin a series of explorations of democracy's fiasco on the Ideas in History channel. We will begin with the Peloponnesian War, representing the failure of Athenian democracy, then spanning 2,000 years, all the way to the present-day Russo-Ukrainian War. We will look at the successes and failures of political systems throughout history. Follow the vein of ancient and modern thinkers to learn why both democracies and dictatorships fail. Discuss how a virtuous republic can be designed to build the res publica that can defend freedom.